Hello everybody, it's me, Mr. Cooper again, and I am very excited to be your primary principal this September. Hopefully you saw the first half of my story that I've been reading to you called The Enormous Crocodile, and this is the second half of the story. So let's find out what happens next. The enormous crocodile crept over to a place where there were a lot of coconuts. And he knew that the children from the town often came here looking for coconuts. The trees were too tall for them to climb, but there were always coconuts on the ground that had fallen down. So, the enormous crocodile quickly collected all of the coconuts that were lying on the ground. He also gathered together several fallen branches. Now, for clever trick number 1, he thought to himself. It won't be long before I am eating the first part of my lunch. He took all of the coconut branches and held them between his teeth. He grasped the coconuts in his front paws. Then he stood straight up in the air, balancing himself on his tail. He had arranged the branches and the coconuts so cleverly that he now looked exactly like a small coconut tree, standing among all the big coconut trees. Soon, 2 children came along, and they were brother and sister. The boy was called Toto, and his sister was called Mary. And they walked around looking for fallen coconuts. But they couldn't find any because, well, you know, the enormous crocodile had gathered them all up. Look, cried Toto. That tree over there is much smaller than the others. And it's full of coconuts. I think I could climb up that one quite easily if you help me up the first part. And Toto and Mary ran towards what they thought was the small coconut tree. The enormous crocodile stood very still, peered through the branches, watching them as they came closer and closer, and he licked his lips. He began to dribble with excitement. Suddenly, there was a tremendous whooshing noise. And it was Humpy Rumpy, the hippopotamus from the jungle. He came crashing and snorting out of the jungle. His head was down low and he was galloping at a terrific speed. Look out, Toto, shouted Humpy Rumpy. Look out, Mary, that's not a crocodile. That's not the coconut tree. It's the enormous crocodile and he wants to eat you up. Humpy Rumpy charged straight to the enormous crocodile and he caught him with his giant head and sent him tumbling and skidding over the ground. Oh! cried the crocodile. Help! Help! Stop! Where am I? Toto and Mary ran back to the town as fast as they could, screaming. But crocodiles are tough. It is difficult for even a hippopotamus to hurt them. So the enormous crocodile picked himself up and crept towards the place where the children's playground was. Now for clever trick number 2, he said to himself, and this one is certain to work. There were no children in the playground at the moment. They were all in school. The enormous crocodile found a big log and placed it in the middle of the playground. Then he lay across the log and tucked his feet so that he looked exactly like a seesaw. When school was over, the children all came running into the playground. Look, they cried, we've got a new seesaw. They all crowded round, shouting with excitement. I'll go first. No, I'll get on the other end. I want to go first. So do I, so do I, so do I. Then, a girl, who was older than the others, said, "It's a rather funny, knobbly sort of seesaw, isn't it? Do you think it's safe to go on?" "Of course it will," the other said. "It looks strong as anything." The enormous crocodile opened one eye, just a tiny bit, and watched the children who were crowding around him. Soon, he thought, one of them is going to sit on his head. Then, I will give a jerk and snap. And after that, it will be yum, 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 yum. Now, at that moment, there was a flash of brown, and something jumped into the playground and hopped onto the top of the swing. It was Mugglewump, the monkey from the jungle. "Run!" Mugglewump shouted to the children. "All of you, run! Run, 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 run! That's not a seesaw. It's the enormous crocodile, and he wants to eat you all up." The children ran away screaming as fast as they could. Now the crocodile cursed the monkey and waddled back into those bushes to hide. "I'm getting hungrier and hungrier," he said. "I shall have to eat at least 4 children now before I am full up." The enormous crocodile crept around the edge of the town, taking great care not to be seen, and he came to a place where they were getting ready for a fun fair. There were slides and swings and dodgem cars and people selling popcorn and cotton candy. There was also a big, beautiful merry-go-round. The merry-go-round had marvellous wooden creatures for the children to ride on. There was white horses and lions and tigers and mermaids with fish, tails and fearsome dragons, and with red tongues sticking out of their mouths. "Now for clever trick number 3, said the enormous crocodile, licking his lips. When no one was looking, he crept onto the merry-go-round and put himself between the wooden lion and a fearsome dragon. He sat up a bit on his back legs, and he kept himself very still. And he looked from a distance exactly like a wooden crocodile on the merry-go-round. Soon all sorts of children came flocking into the fair. Several of them ran towards the merry-go-round. They were so excited. "I'm going to ride on the dragon," cried one. "I'm going to go on the lovely white horse," cried another. "I'm going to go on the lion," cried a third one. And one little girl, whose name was Jill, said, "I think I'm going to go on the mermaid. I'm going to go on the crocodile." The enormous crocodile kept very still, but he could see the little girl coming towards him. "Yum, yum, yum," he thought. "I'll gulp her up easily in one gallop." Suddenly, there was a swish and a swoosh, and something came swishing and swooshing out of the sky. It was the roly-poly bird, again from the jungle. He flew around the merry-go-round singing, "Look out, Jill, look out, look out, don't ride on the crocodile." Jill stopped and looked up. "That's not a wooden crocodile," sang the roly-poly bird. "It's a real one. It's the enormous crocodile from the river, and he wants to eat you all up." Jill turned. She looked at the crocodile, and she realised it was the real enormous crocodile, and she turned and ran. And so did all the other children. Ah! Even the man who was working on the merry-go-round jumped off it and ran away as fast as he could. The enormous crocodile cursed the roly-poly bird and waddled back into the bushes to hide. I am so hungry. Now, he said, I could eat 6 children before I am full up. So just outside the town there was a pretty little field with trees and bushes all around it. This was called the picnic place. There were several wooden tables and long benches, and people were allowed to go there and have a beautiful picnic at any time. The enormous crocodile crept over to the picnic place, and there was no one in sight. Now for clever trick number 4, he whispered to himself. He picked a lovely bunch of flowers and arranged it on one of the tables. From the same table he took away one of the benches and hid it in the bushes. Then he put himself in the place where the bench had been. He tucked his head under his chest and twisted his tail out of sight. He made himself look very much like a long wooden bench with 4 legs. Soon 2 boys and 2 girls came along, carrying a basket of food. They were all from one family, and their mother had said they could go out and have a picnic together. Which table shall we sit on? Said one. Let's take the table with the lovely flowers on it, said another. The enormous crocodile kept as quiet as a mouse. I shall eat them all, he said to himself. They will come, and they will sit on my back, and I will swizzle my head around quickly, and after that it will be squish, crunch, gollop. Suddenly, a big, deep voice from the jungle shouted, Stand back, children! Stand back! Stand back! The children stopped and stared at the place where the voice was coming from. Then, with a crashing of branches, Trunky the elephant came crashing and rushing out of the jungle. That's not a bench you are going to sit on, he bellowed. It's the enormous crocodile, and he wants to eat you all up. Trunky had had enough. He trotted over to the spot where the enormous crocodile was standing. And quick as a flash, he wrapped his trunk around the crocodile and hoisted him up in the air by his tail. Hey, let me go, yelled the enormous crocodile, who was now dangling upside down. Let me go! Let me go! No, Trunky said. I will not let you go. We've all had quite enough of your clever tricks. And Trunky began to swing the crocodile around in the air. At first he swung him round slowly, but then he swung him faster and faster and faster and faster still. Soon the enormous crocodile was just a blurry circle going round and round and round and round Chunky's head. Suddenly Chunky let go of the crocodile's tail, and the crocodile went shooting high up into the sky like a huge green rocket. Up, up, up he went. Higher, higher, higher he went. Faster, faster, faster he went. He was going so fast and so high that soon the earth was just a tiny dot miles below. He whizzed on and on. He was far past into space. He was past the moon. He whizzed past the stars. He whizzed past the planets until, at last, with the most tremendous bang, the enormous crocodile crashed head first into the hot, hot sun. And he was sizzled up like a sausage. And that is the end of our story. I hope you have enjoyed it. I'm really looking forward to seeing you all back in September. I can't wait to see you all. Enjoy the rest of your summer holidays, and I shall see you very, very soon. Bye, everybody.